Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I am the Crypto Crow, and I haven't been going over news in a while, but today I'm going to, because there's some big stuff that's been brought to my attention that I think should definitely be discussed and shared. People should be aware of it. Before I dive into the news, real quick, just looking at Bitcoin's price, I want to touch base on this here. So far, my accumulation schematic, my YConf accumulation schematic has been basically working as intended. I shouldn't say working as intended, but the way I've been lining it up in conjunction with the YConf accumulation pattern. I still don't know if it's pattern 1 or 2, but you know, and this here, I'm not looking for this to bounce off of this line or anything. This isn't, that's not how this is really working, or how it was laid out. It could break above it, and then come back down. But ultimately, this is the trajectory I see happening, as we move forward right now. Whether or not we get a new low from this, I don't know. There's still plenty of time for this to take action, but I am following it. So far, the overall pattern has not been rejected, even though I was tight-lipped for a minute because I was worried, and I thought, are we going to close? Are we going to break above this resistance and negate this entire scheme? No, we did not. It's still in play, and it is 2/17/2023. So I've got my eye on this. It is very likely at this point, though, that we do not see a new low. I'm thinking that this is an accumulation schematic 2 in the YConf accumulation, not a 1. A 1 would mean we're going to get this spring, but a 2 means we could come back down somewhere between 18, 19,000. So something like that, go sideways for a little bit and then work our way back up. That's honestly what I'm expecting at this point, but I do believe it's going to be one of the two, and I will be tracking it. If you don't already have one, make sure you check out murderofcrows.io. Pick up a fun NFT for yourself or a loved one. It's not a ploy to get rich quick or anything. It's just for fun, and check it out if you like. Now, the SEC commissioner custody proposals will block access to crypto. This is a really big deal, and I think that there's so much happening right now in the regulatory space, and it's a little scary to some extent, because I feel like to some degree this is almost becoming a consolidation of power as much as it is restricting certain people from being able to act in the crypto space. So we're going to take a look at this. Today, the SEC published new proposed rules regarding the need for financial advisors to use qualified custodians to control customer assets. So this is primarily about financial advisors, people that, they're creating investment portfolios and with your real estate, your 401k, they're basically plotting out your financial future, and all of that. Like Fidelity is one of the first, I think it's Fidelity Capital. They're one of the first financial advisors to adopt crypto into their portfolios. And it was a really big deal a couple years ago because everyone else was saying, no, stay away. And they were like, no, we have all these customers and they want crypto and we're going to help them. But things may be changing soon in terms of how they go about it. The proposal requires the custody rules to apply to all assets, not just securities and funds, all assets. Hence, this would cover all crypto assets, whether or not they are securities. So Bitcoin isn't going to be safe from whatever the actions are. It's not just going to be about altcoins and then Bitcoin is alone in its a little bubble. This is everything. Republican Commissioner Yada, Yada, I'm not sure, argued the new proposals make it hard for advisors to deal with crypto assets and be compliant. How could an advisor seeking to comply with this rule possibly invest client funds in crypto assets after reading this release, she said. He said, I don't know who Yada is. I've never heard the name before. This approach to custody appears to mask a policy decision to block access to crypto as an asset class. It deviates from the Commission's long-standing position on the neutrality of the merits of investments. While Commissioner Hester Pierce is often forthright on these topics and was the sole vote against moving forward with this proposal, Ueda supported the proposal despite strong objections. Isn't that funny how people support things in play that they don't even agree with in any way, but yet they say, go ahead, let's go for it, let's do it. Doesn't make any sense to me. That's why everything is political. Everything is like a push and pull, favor for favor kind of thing, and it's not good. Ueda was referring to several points in the 434-page document, which I don't think has been released yet publicly, but I think that's coming in 60 days. Firstly, while banks have developed digital asset custody solutions, the paper mentions federal banking regulators have raised safety and soundness concerns about banks getting involved. Duh. I mean, like, of course they are. They don't want any of this stuff. This is all competition for them. He said the paper implies that state-chartered trust banks are less trustworthy than federally chartered banks. The proposals ask for feedback on whether qualified custodians should be restricted to federally regulated banks. As an aside, several crypto custodians, including Coinbase Custody, Paxos, and Fidelity Digital Assets, are New York State chartered trust banks. Basically, they're saying, we want to restrict this. We don't even want all of these guys being able to do this. We want access restricted to only this little niche group of people or companies that are basically playing ball in every possible way that are making them compliant. Man. And because most crypto trading platforms, exchanges, are not qualified custodians, if financial advisors use these platforms, they will not be compliant. While this is true, many users have lost significant sums as crypto exchanges and lenders have gone bankrupt during the past year without properly segregating and safeguarding client assets. Why do you think this is happening? And how much of this do you think is related to, FTX? Why? When a lot of this stuff was happening, even before the FTX situation was happening, what have I been saying? There are going to be some big, false flags, some big, terrible events that the governments are going to use as a reason to just come down hard on everything, restrict access, lock it all up, keep the little people out. That's what's happening here. This is the way this all reads to me. If you're not a part of the good old boys network, if you're not a part of this core group of people who are making all of these decisions, the international bankers, the central bankers, all of this stuff, whoever these people are, if you do not have relationships with them and you're not in the group, they don't want you in the group. They don't want you involved in any of this stuff. They don't want you to have the access. And that especially in politics is more powerful and sought after than anything else. Just having access means a lot. Other custody highlights. In order for a bank or savings association to be a qualified custodian, it will have to hold assets in a segregated account designed to protect such assets from creditors of the banks or savings association in the event of insolvency. So this makes a lot of sense. I mean, because how many different groups, exchanges, DeFi platforms, crypto lending how many of these have gone insolvent? How many of them are insolvent right now? And so here's the thing. This is like a double-edged sword to me, because while it basically confines power and access to a core group of people or companies, that's going to just make them all the more powerful. All the more it's disgusting, but it's also, I get it. That's the thing. This is one of the reasons why it's been so difficult for me to do a lot of crypto content, because I know that so many things are going to be changing dramatically. I can point and say, this looks fantastic today, and tomorrow it could be horrible. Man, I'm struggling this morning. The allergies just kick my butt. And my allergies, believe it or not, actually make me yawn a lot too. It's funny. That, and it's kind of early and I got horrible sleep last night. But anyway, I definitely understand the need for regulation. I understand the need because there are so many bad actors in the crypto space. I mean, there really are, to the point where it's nauseating. And I get the need to try and limit the access these bad actors have to the people's money. But does it have to always mean only these 10 people can do anything in all of this entire world? Why isn't there just guidelines? Why can't there just be like, oh, you follow this to the letter and you're good? A, B, C, D. Maybe you have to jump through some hoops. Maybe there's some intermediaries that you have to work through. Now, all those things would be fine. I don't understand why there needs to be such a consolidation of power as it relates to regulation. Is it because, well, we know these groups are going to play ball the way we need them to make everything secure and safe? Or, well, these companies have paid a lot of money and a lot of lobbyists and a lot of this and a lot of that, and they deserve to play ball and make the money wherever it's possible as a big thank you for their constant support over the years. Like, how does this stuff get determined behind the scenes? One of the proposal's requirements is for the qualified custodian to have exclusive possession and control over assets. The challenge with crypto assets is that if a custodian demonstrates a private key, they put their asset at risk of theft. Also, in some cases, sometimes the client and custodian can have the private key, and so both can affect transfers. So they're basically saying, listen, you're either going to provide all your crypto and all of your decisions to this core group, and you're not going to have access to it, because if you have access to it, you could do something stupid, which to some extent is true. Let's be honest. But isn't it that the freedom of choice? If I want to do something stupid, let me do something stupid. It's not your fault. Or is that to say, well, if we're putting all this money and infrastructure and all of these things to facilitate this compliance, and then we have a client go and do something stupid, well, we've just wasted all of our time and money on this stupid person's bad decisions. And to be honest, when I was in the mortgage business, nothing could be more painful than working for months on a loan. You know, you're trying to work on a mortgage loan for somebody, and you know they're a little irresponsible, and it's really difficult to make the numbers work. And you put a whole plan together, and you say, this home will close, but do not open a new credit card, put big purchases on a credit card, don't do XYZ. And you can say that over and over and over and over. And sure enough, a week before close, they think it's all a done deal. So they go out and they buy a $3,000 air compressor on a Capital One card thinking, well, it's all done. We're going to close next week. I can go get this. I need it. And it cancels the loan, because it changes their credit score. It changes everything, because what happens is right before you close, they do one final credit pull on everything to make sure that everything is still legit and the same. But people don't listen. So when somebody doesn't listen, you know, it's like in some cases, this is protecting people against themselves. If I were in the mortgage business today and I were able to say, hey, I'm locking up your access to being able to open new credit cards or use your credit cards until this loan closes, we would have a whole heck of a lot more business. But we can't do that. This is saying, hey, you know, you want to work with us? We're the pros. We're the ones with the access, the connects, the know-how. You're either going to trust us to do our job, or you're going to get out of the way. And to some extent, I agree with it. But you know, it's like I said, it's a double-edged sword. So overall, the comment period for the SEC proposal will run for 60 days from when the proposal is published in the Federal Register, which I haven't seen it yet. Outside of this is a press release, enhanced safeguarding rule for registered investment advisors. So, and we kind of went over it already, but this is the actual press release for those that are interested in that. You can kind of pause and read. So listen, this is just one small drop in the bucket, because if a lot of this stuff, here's the thing. expect stable coins to get regulated out of the space. I've been saying this for, I don't know, a year, 2 years now, maybe 3. I don't remember. But I've been saying it for a long time. Stable coins, as you know them, are going to change dramatically. A lot of them are going to get regulated out of the space because the governments want to use their CBDC tokens, whatever they are, USDC, I don't know. Okay. So just expect that. Exchanges, any exchange that is not operating under the guidance, the regulatory power, the authority of like the U.S. regulatory bodies like the SEC and so forth and so on, something's going to happen to them. Right now, it's like, oh, well, we're going to go after you if you service U.S. customers. But I think it's going to get even bigger than that, because not only is it going to become about, okay, well, you can service U.S. customers, but you have to do XYZ to be compliant. And a part of that compliance is you have to get rid of the stable tokens and you're only using the CBDCs instead. And I'm telling you, this is going to be a chain reaction effect. And those exchanges that are not willing to play ball with that, they're going to become public enemy number one in terms of regulation. So if you have assets sitting on an exchange that's not like U.S. compliant or like I'm telling you, it's happening. I mean, and we're seeing this more and more. And there likely will be more significant events that take place to basically usher a lot of this stuff in. So it is what it is, folks. But this is the way the cookie's going to crumble here. And I think it's going to get significantly worse over the next year. I mean, until we get to the next halving in 2024, I think that our eyes are going to be open to a lot of what's going down and what's being worked on and put together, and all these different proposals and regulatory proposals and things. All of this stuff is coming. So, you know, and I think it's perfect timing, because as a lot of this stuff continues to unfold, it's very likely going to continue pushing the price of Bitcoin down. Now, here's the other thing too, and this is the other thing that you need to think about, and I'm going to let you guys go. As these stable coins are regulated out of the space, where does the money go? It's likely going to go into Bitcoin, or it could go into Ethereum or some of these other altcoins, because they're not just going to cash it out. They're in stable coins because they want to position themselves back in the market. So it's likely we're going to see some of these pumps come in Bitcoin's price as a lot of these stable coins are regulated out of the space. And as soon as the SEC or any of these groups announce they've got their eye on this crypto or that stable coin or whatever, people are going to start jumping ship out of them. And when they do, we're going to see price jumps in Bitcoin and other assets, just the way it's going to be. And then once that is concluded, and then we're going to start seeing, okay, what exchanges are going to be willing to play ball. And I just think that, you know, a lot of stuff is going to be happening. So listen, folks, I hope this finds you well. And until next time, crow your coins, and I'll see you soon.